Welcome back to Pitso on SABC Lehigh. For the first time in the history of a democratic South Africa, the national voters' roll has surpassed the 27 million mark. The Electoral Commission hopes the number will increase as it gears up for the final voter registration this weekend. The IEC has, however, raised concerns over the three missions, that is Sudan, Israel and Ukraine, that will be closed due to conflicts in those countries and may prohibit South Africans from voting. To discuss the relevance and importance of voting, more especially the youth, let's welcome Bukiswa Boniswa, who is the VETS SRC president. Bukiswa, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us here on Pitso on SABC Lehigh.
Good morning. Good morning to you and your listeners. How are you?
We are doing great. We're doing great. Let's start here. What is the importance of voting as a young person? Why do you think it's important to vote?
Well, I think it's very important to vote because of the special moments we're in our democracy, marking 30 years, it's up to the youth to decide how they want the country to be governed. So that's why it's very important, because when we're looking at basic services that affect the youth, when it comes to unemployment and when it comes to education, the current sitting government is not doing enough to ensure that the youth has opportunities as is employed rather.
So you are in politics. Why politics? I mean, you could do other things, entertainment. You know, there's so much to do as a young person, but you chose politics. Why is it important for a young person to take part in politics?
Because I really think that politics are possibly the only vehicle that we can advance societal change, be it economic, social, or political in itself. So it's very important for the young people to be involved in politics, because we are the future and we are the ones that are supposed to be making decisions that are going to be affecting our future. So it's very important to partake in the voting process, firstly, and also to partake in ensuring that you inform yourself and you research about the different political parties and make an informed decision when voting. So that's why I think the youth should be involved in politics.
Bukisa, you know, as we know, the youth of 1976 were fighting for equal education. Their challenge was that they wanted to be taught in a language that they understood better, or they preferred to be taught in English. So they were fighting against that system. Now in 2024, what are some of the issues that the youth are facing and what are they fighting for? Because I believe you work with young people, so you know what they're looking for. What are some of those issues?
Okay, so from my sector, which is higher education, what we struggle with on a yearly basis is financial exclusion. So this means that students don't have the funds to pay for their fees. So I guess our generational mission as the youth in 2024 is to ensure that we get free, decolonized, and quality education for all. That's the first thing. And secondly, to that, is to ensure that youth are given opportunities for employment. Because as we know that our youth unemployment sits at a very high rate, more than other countries. So it's very important for us, and those are the two issues that really affect us rather. It's youth unemployment and also the lack of access to education as a result of financial exclusion.
You mentioned a very serious issue of unemployment. There are so many young people who have qualified, they've got degrees and diplomas, but they are not employed. Where do you think the government is going wrong in terms of, you know, creating employment for you, and where or what do you think should be done to create these jobs?
That's a very good question, but I think that possibly the government is not investing in the vocational and TVET sector, right? Because when you have an industrial base in a country, that means that you can create jobs in the primary, secondary, and tertiary sector. Because what we have in South Africa is that we have an obsession with, I totally understand that because it does bring money. However, there's not enough opportunities when you're looking at just the primary level of employment and secondary level of employment. So I think focusing on vocational studies and investing in those vocational studies will ensure that most youth get jobs. And secondly, what you also have is that you just have a lot of applying positions positions of employment. So you'll have someone that's 60, 65 still working. But when you're looking at their output and their productivity in that job, it's very low. So what you would need then is that the youth is employed in those type of jobs, and also that we have programs of skills transfer. Because yes, we have the degrees and all of that, but I think there's a distinction when it then comes to experience, and therefore how we get assimilated into the job market.
All right, Bukisa, let's just hold on a bit. We also have MJ wa Azania on the line. MJ, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Pitso on SABC Lehigh.
Thank you very much, sir, and greetings to the listeners at home.
Thank you for joining us. So, what contribution do you think the youth can make or bring when they are involved in politics?
No, thank you very much once more. I believe that young people have the power to protect the democratic government in South Africa. And if you have checked very well, the current government has done well since 1994 in terms of youth empowerment. And if you check very well, majority of black youth now, as we speak, are direct beneficiaries of NSFAS, of bursaries that came after 1994. So when the young people start to participate in voting and registration, it's a matter of making sure that they go and protect the government that is currently living, and the government that is currently making sure that views of young people are on top of the agenda within the government, the private sector, and different institutions in the country. And then if you check very well, in 1976, when the young people staged a march, part of that, the main important factor was that their voices should be heard. And that's what we are now saying, that in a democratic country, it cannot be through a protest or through a march, but it should be through registration and through participating in voting. Because when they vote, is when their views are going to be heard, is when their leadership are going to be represented as well, and make sure that as they vote, they also forward young people in leadership position to go and represent their views.
MJ, you mentioned a point where you're saying that the government has done so well, wherein young people are now benefiting from that. And when we look at the parliament, the South African parliament, we still see people that are older than 60 still in parliament. And people are always saying, when will the youth take part in parliament? What do you think needs to be done to also to give young people an opportunity to be in parliament?
In the current parliament, if you go and check well with facts, you will see that it's no longer how parliament used to be back there. You've got so many young people in parliament, people who were born in 1993, who were born 1992, who were born 96, 97. So as much as we do understand and then acknowledge that we still have a bunch of old people in parliament, of which we cannot just wake up and replace them, all of them. We also need that wisdom that will assist us to guide this country going forward. But I must be happy that as we speak now, we've got so many young people in parliament, especially coming from the ruling party. So many young people have been deployed to parliament, have been deployed to the provincial legislature, have been deployed to local government. And if you check very well, most of the mayors, most of the speakers as we speak currently in the country are young people. And that shows exactly that when young people start to participate in voting, when young people start to participate in politics, their views are going to be taken serious and they are going to be represented very well. And as well as to make sure that the tax, when it's then allocated, remember, then check the number of people who have been voting, that we've got a bunch of young people who have participated in voting. And when they start to allocate budget, they also consider majority of young people. So we cannot just say now that we still have so many, old people in parliament. Yes, we've got few, but I'm very sure that in the coming elections, we're still going to have so many young people that will be deployed to parliament, to private sectors, and to different institutions in the country to make sure that the views of young people are represented and attended to.
All right, so I'm going to bring back Bukisa Boniswa, who is the VETS SRC president. I just wanted to ask you, apologies for me butchering your name, Bukisa. I wanted to understand, Are you happy with the representation of young people in Parliament? And do you think they are making a contribution?
Okay, firstly, I'd also just like to caution your listeners, man, in terms of believing people that will come on the show and just be disillusioned and also be delusional. Because the previous speaker spoke about how Parliament is made up majority about young people, and that's completely false. And I encourage him to go do his research, because as it stands, you have less than 20% of parliamentarians that are the youth. So firstly, you must fact-check his facts and not come on a public platform and lie. And then secondly, when it comes to NASAS and how he had said that the current sitting government is doing well and all of that, as we stand, the Department of Higher Education and Training last year cut all subsidies for higher institutions. And that means that this year fees had to increase as a result of that. So I think people that are listening right now need to take caution, especially of characters like Comrade MJ Azania, because he's completely spewing lies and nothing he's saying is actually factual. And then secondly to that, when you're looking at even how NASFAS has been operating in the past 2 years or 3 years, it's been the funding students, number one, meaning that students wouldn't have funding for a whole year, meaning that those students in the following year wouldn't be able to register because they owe fees. Secondly to that, right, you have an issue where the appeals process of NASFAS literally takes over 6 months, and students are left with no allowances, they're left with no funding. So I don't understand what he's saying when he's saying the current sitting government has done a good job. The current sitting government has failed, and that's the truth. And I think listeners need to be very cautious with that, because you will have, especially during the season of elections, people coming and telling lies. And I'm not even sure if he's a university student. I don't think that's a reality that he's faced with. And he's coming on here and he's lying.
MJ, do you have a response to that, to what Bukiswa has said?
No, thank you very much, sir. Just to clarify, I'm a university student as I'm talking now, currently doing my second master's, and I was part of Fees Must Fall protest as a spokesperson as well there. So I know exactly what I'm talking about when I say the ANC government has done well in terms of making sure that young people in the universities and all different institutions of high learning are taken care of. As much as we understand that they will be lack here and there, and we must be happy that the ANC Youth League is one of the few organizations that has came out and make sure that they hold NSFAS officials accountable. As you know very well that there's some scandals that are currently under investigation. And that shows that as the ruling party, as the ANC Youth League, as MDM structures, we take serious the issues of NSFAS, the issues of empowerment of young people. And I'm telling you that as much as we want to compare the democratic government with the apartheid government, there's a huge difference as we speak. Currently, young people have completed degrees, young people are working, young people are owning cars, young people are owning houses, young people have got salaries, have got businesses, are participating in different youth empowerment in the country, and that has never happened during apartheid. As much as we want to come out publicly and condemn this ANC government, but this is the only government that has brought change in the lives of black people, that has brought much freedom, that has brought space for us to move freely in this country, to work anywhere, regardless of race, and to benefit from the economy of this country. Is this ANC government, as we speak. The very same EFF member who's currently engaging with me here is a beneficiary of the very same ANC government as we speak. And it cannot be an issue of 1 day of 30 years. We must give the ANC a chance. That's why I'm saying young people must go out and register and vote and protect this very democratic government.
All right.
So that it continues leading this country and continue empowering us as young people.
MJ, thank you so much for your time. I think in closing, I'll just need to hear from Bukisa. Bukisa, shortly, are you going to vote?
No, I'm definitely going to vote, and I'm definitely not going to vote for the ANC. And I think the youth should not vote for the ANC because you have politicians like MJ right now that are continually lying and fail to take accountability for the fact that the ANC government hasn't done enough to ensure that the youth has access to education and is employed. So whatever MJ just said right now, and the fact that you are part of FEESMAS 4 and you're spewing these lies on national TV should be a disgrace because you should know better, and you know that people fought tooth and nail during FEESMAS 4. Some people even lost their opportunity to complete their degrees, and you are out here and you're lying. So you should be honestly ashamed of everything you've just said. But I'd implore everyone in South Africa, especially the youth, to go out and vote so we don't have people like MJ that are leading this country. Thank you.
All right, it seems like I still have time. MJ, are you still on the line?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Bukisa is saying...
I'm here.
The first SRC president is saying people shouldn't vote for ANC. What do you have to say on that?
I'm saying people should go out and register and vote for the African National Congress. Because I'm speaking from, informed view that the ANC has done a lot. Even yourself, you understand very well that where you are now and where you are seated and working currently. Back there, it was not easy during apartheid era. There was so much censorship, and now you can come on air and speak freely. As much as we understand that any ruling party, especially in a democratic country like ours, is under attack, especially by the very same people who were members of this very same organization. For the fact that now are no longer in leadership position, they want to go out and then influence people not to vote for the African National Congress. We must be very happy that we are one of the African countries where there's still peace, where there's no conflict, where there's no killing of people, where there's no arrest of political leadership because of different political views. And that shows that we've got a very strong democratic country and a very strong democracy, which I believe that we must go out and protect. In other African countries, as we speak today, you cannot come out and insert a sitting leadership of the ruling party or a president. And apart from such, even if you go and insert leadership here, you still participate freely in politics. You still benefit from this very same democracy. So that's what ANC is all about. We want to empower young people. We want young people to go out in numbers and register and vote for the African National Congress. Let's go and defend this democracy. We have lost so many people, so many black people, innocent people, and leadership fighting for this democratic country, and we must go and make sure that we protect it.
MJ Wazania and Bukisa Boniswa, thank you so much for your time here this morning on Pitso on SABC Lihaye.
Thank you so much. But I'd really just like to say that let your listeners not be afraid of the ANC government, because the ANC government is going to try to guilt trip voters right now and tell voters that we gave you democracy. It's not the ANC government that gave us democracy. It's every black person that fought against apartheid during the liberation struggle. So let them not lie to people and put it as if it's the ANC government that brought us democracy. It is not like that. And democracy will not be here because of the ANC government. And in fact, the fact that they want to guilt trip people and tell people that if they don't get voted in, then there won't be any democracy should be enough reason for South Africans to not vote for the ANC, because we won't be guilt tripped. In this country, if you're not going to deliver, you're going to be out. And that's just how it's supposed to be.
Well, I won't add, I won't subtract. My duty is to drive the ship. And this ship at this moment is taking a break.
Thank you.
In conclusion, sir, can I speak one?
Pitso continues after this.